All right. Well, if you watched the UFC Vegas 15 broadcast this past Saturday night, you may have seen a well-dressed, well-spoken heavyweight contender on the desk that just knocked it out of the damn park. Walt Harris joins us this week on the program. Walt, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. You did a phenomenal job on Saturday night, Walt, looking like a couple Billy on top of that. How did you enjoy that experience of sitting on the desk and talking some fights with the crew?
Oh, man, it was fun. I'll be honest. When I first got there, I was a little nervous. It's kind of overwhelming when you realize how much actually goes into a TV production. But once I got the gist of it, man, it was smooth sailing.
What sorts of things might have thrown you off? Because watching on TV, you just think that you just sit up there and have a mic and answer questions. But like you said, it's a television broadcast, and there's all sorts of different twists and turns that maybe you weren't prepared for.
Well, for starters, Friday night we did 2 shows, and it was the monkey wrench got thrown in the game when Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis's fights got canceled. So the production had to go back in, rewrite the script, had to rewrite the order of the show, and then you have to re-prepare your information. And, there's so much that you have to learn in such a short period of time. And you got to, learn how to fill spaces and, whether the information that you studied and that you took notes on is even pertinent to what's going on in the broadcast, man. I mean, it's a lot. And then there's a lot of words that you need to learn in order to kind of, understand what the producer's trying to tell you to do during the show. He's in your ear at the same time you're trying to speak. So it's a lot, man, but it's so much fun for sure.
In a way, I mean, because I assume because you did so well, you'll probably do this again. In a way, is it almost beneficial that you kind of got thrown to the fire right off the bat and there were some hiccups? So now that the next time it's smooth sailing.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely, I love challenges and being thrown in the mix early and, not really knowing exactly what to do is exactly what I could ask for. Because the next time, like you said, it'll be smooth sailing, man. It won't even be hard. And I'll be better prepared for it. I'll know how to study and prepare my notes and, we'll go from there.
Is that something that you hoped would be an option for you? Because it was one of those things, honestly, that I didn't really think about until I saw you up there. But immediately I was like, oh, this is a great choice. This is awesome. This makes total sense. Was the broadcasting side of the fight game something that you had in mind to be a part of?
Yeah, I've always, I've been a sports guy my whole life. I watch every sport, whether it's hockey, basketball, soccer. I'm into everything. In fact, right now I'm sitting here watching Stephen A. Like this sports is my life. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a natural progression for me. My family's always felt like it was something that I need to do. And at first I kind of was like, oh, whatever. But then I started realizing just how much I do love sports and how much I know about sports. And I love talking and arguing and doing all those different things. So I feel like commentary was definitely a natural progression for me.
And then like right off the bat, you're on ESPN. And I know like myself growing up, like I watched SportsCenter on a loop, like over and over and over again, seeing like the Dan Patricks and the Olbermans and the Stuart Scotts and folks like that. So that must have been pretty surreal for you as well. Yeah,
dude. It was like kind of, when I heard we were doing live, it's when like I was like, what? Like, dude, you're on ESPN. Like, this is huge. You know what I mean? Like, most people that started out commentating, especially fighters, they usually kind of do a local circuit. They kind of get their feet wet that way. And my very first time, I was thrown on ESPN with Megan O'Leary and Michael Chiesa, he's 10 shows in, but the dude's like a pro, man. Like, he's so good. And it was kind of overwhelming at the time. And I was just like grateful, and that's all I could think of was just how grateful I was to be sitting up there doing that.
I don't know if you saw it, but I saw the feedback on Twitter and social media, and it was universal in praise for you and your contributions on the broadcast. But how did ESPN, the UFC feel about it? Did they offer any feedback?
Yeah. I talked to Zach Candido, the producer of the show. He wanted me to smile more. That was his thing. He's like, dude, you gotta let that big pretty smile out. And I was like, okay, cool. Because to be honest, the first day, like I was confused as to how to approach it, because I didn't want my personality to like overtake the show. I didn't want to be too dominant. And then I can be very, very loud, like I'm a loud human being. When I'm doing interviews, it's probably not as prevalent, but when I'm like just having fun, like I'm so loud. So I was worried about being too loud on the mic because my mic sounded like it was too loud in my head. And he was just like, no, it's okay. He's like, you actually need to yell a little bit more. He said he wanted me to talk more, which was crazy to me because I was like, dang, I talk too much. So that was pretty cool to kind of like be told you need to talk more. But that was about it, man. He was happy. I think everybody was happy. Megan and Mike was super pumped. So I'm looking forward to continuing and getting better at it, man, for sure.
The card ended with Anthony Smith getting a quick submission win over Devin Clark. And for a guy who has had the year that he had, dealing with a lot of adversity, he fought for a world title last year. He certainly needed that win. What did you make of his performance, especially getting a main event slot a little more than 24 hours prior to that after, like you mentioned, the Curtis Blades positive test?
Man, I was impressed with Anthony, man. I mean, that dude is so resilient. I've always been a fan of his and how he fights and how he approaches the game. I thought he went in there and did exactly what he needed to do. I also thought Devin did what he needed to do. I think he just got a bit overwhelmed by the moment, which I kind of expected because I've been in that spot where you're coming off a tragic situation or you're going through something in that camp, and you want to perform so well that you kind of almost overdo it, and then you kind of miss steps in the middle of that fight. And I think that happened to me as well with Overeem. I heard him, and instead of me taking my time, I kind of rushed in and blew my load. And I think Devin did the same thing. He kind of wanted to get his hands on him, and then he got it, got to the point where he was comfortable on the ground, and then he just made a mistake. And you can't make mistakes like that at the highest level, man. I mean, it's just those guys are just too good. And I thought Anthony capitalized on it, and he won the fight.
Yeah, he looked great. It was something that he really needed. And you know how fans can be. Sometimes they give you the credit, and then other times they're like, well, he fought a guy that's, not in the top 15, switches off wins and losses in the UFC. Slow your roll. Don't get too excited. But if you're a guy like Anthony Smith, who, I mean, he's been in these situations before. He's dropped, 2 or 3 in a row and then goes on these runs. Is this sort of the beginning of maybe a second title run for him? Or is just, we need to slow roll him a little bit, just keep putting him up against, top 15 guys, slowly bring him back up and just to see where he's at?
I'm all for the slow, process because I mean he's been fast tracked once, you know what I mean, and we saw what happened in the end of that. I think he's at a point in his career now where, like he said after in his post fight interview, fight the fights that are in front of him. You know what I mean? And I think he realizes that he got fast tracked last time, and it may have been a little bit too much for him, put too much on his plate. So I think let's fight by fight basis with him and see how it goes, because only he knows exactly how he feels. And for him to say, take the fights in front of him, that's what, I think that's what should be done.
Were there any other performances on the card that got you fired up, like outside of Anthony Smith, who sort of stole the show for you on Saturday?
Baeza, man, I called Baeza to a T, bro. It's crazy. I was in the back and we were picking the fights, me and Michael, and I told Michael, I was like, bro, Baeza's striking is nasty, but I'll guarantee you it doesn't get out of the second round and Sato will go to sleep. And he's like, no, I don't know, man. Sato's down there with Henry Hoof, and I think they're both going to feel each other out, and it's going to go all 3 rounds. I said, I guarantee you he puts him to sleep in the second round. And boom, on cue, second round, head and arm choke. I was like, and I looked over at him, Mike just got over like, I'm like, yeah, I told you, dude. Like, I don't know. I should probably gamble. And Megan was like, no gambling. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't need to gamble. But I was picking those fights like crazy, dude. I was like, man, that's kind of weird. I picked 2 of them exactly. I think it was that one and then the very first fight of the night. No, it was the JSP fight I picked. So I'm like, I don't know, man. I might have a future in Vegas.
There you go, man. We get you on all these different shows. Get you on the betting show. Because, I mean, JSP was a surprising one because Kamaka looked so good in his first fight. It was so wild. And he was a heavy favorite in that fight, too. And JSP, especially after the loss to Joe Lozon, weren't really sure, what he was going to look like. It had been over a year since he fought. But to go in there, he's a huge 45er.
Massive, bro. He's so big. So big. And he was healthy, man. That's the thing I was banking on. I was like, all right, he fought Lozon at like 50%. His shoulder was screwed up. So he's 100%. You know, although Kakamaka had a full camp and he was 100%, I felt like JSP, man, he's tough. He's from the South, man. He's a dirty, dirty boy. So I felt like he was going to be able to go in there and get it done, and he did, man. I was happy for him.
Well, you did an amazing job on the broadcast. Hope to see you up there again. But in terms of your octagon presence, we last saw you compete in October against Alexander Volkov at UFC 254. Didn't go your way. First off, you know, being part of the Fight Island experience, such a unique time, especially with everything going on in 2020, getting to be on a card like that. What was that experience like for you?
Man, it was insane. The reception over there was amazing. The people were amazing. You know, it was just a great experience for me because I've always wanted to go over there and see that side of the world, albeit, you know, it was in a pandemic, so it wasn't at full capacity. I had a great time, man. I enjoyed my team. I enjoyed the process, and you know, I'm grateful for that opportunity.
You know, like we just mentioned, you know, the fight didn't go your way. Volkov is a massive guy. He's just so tall, uses distance really well. He went to the body a lot. And, you know, you could always take things away from these fights, win or lose. But, you know, what sorts of things did you take back to the U.S. with you following a fight with a guy like Volkov?
You know, just that I can't switch off in the middle of fights. You know, you got to be mentally prepared. And I switched off for a split second in that fight, and it ended up costing me the fight. I went back and I watched it, and I was just like, man, it's just that smart. Like, that's the level, you know what I mean? Like, top 10 to top 5 and up, you know, that's just, those guys are so good that you can't switch off. And, you know, I went back in the gym and I worked, because, I mean, we worked on that kick for 13 weeks, bro. Like, I was prepared for that kick. I just switched off for that half a second, and he capitalized. And so, you know, like, that's what I took away from it, man. Just stay focused the full 15 to 25 minutes, or whatever be, you know, however long you're in there.
It has been a crazy year for everybody. Walt, you especially, in and out of the octagon. We don't know when this pandemic's going to end, but, you know, you've had some great opportunities along the way. You've had main events, being on the broadcast as an analyst this past weekend, et cetera. Is there a part of you that's like ready to just throw this calendar in the trash and turn to 2021? Or are you excited for that to happen?
Yeah, man. I got rid of it months ago, bro. Like, I'm so mentally over 2020. It's ridiculous, bro. It's been the worst year ever for everybody. You know, but trying to just, you know, keep working and staying positive and being here present for my family. But man, this year cannot end fast enough, bro. I'm so glad it's December, and, you know, just glad it's almost over, man, for real.
Yeah, we made it to December. It seemed like we never get here, right?
Right? It's crazy that it's December. It was like, man, this can't get here fast enough, and now it's here. It's like, man, it's weird, man. This year's been extremely, extremely weird.
In a perfect world, when would you like to get back in there and compete? Is there a certain time frame that you have in mind for 2021?
Yeah, I was thinking February. You know, I need to take some time mentally for myself. You know, I kind of feel like I jumped back in it so quick after everything. You know, I hadn't had a whole, like, I really hadn't even grieved properly, to be honest. You know, and then I just need to, I heard Anthony say something, you know, he talked to somebody. You know, I think that's going to be key for me as well. I haven't really talked to somebody, you know. I think those things are important. I think mental health is huge. And I've realized that more over this last year than anything or at any point in my life, how important mental health is. You know, so I think I'm going to take a little bit of time, you know, the next couple of weeks to focus on that. And then probably February, you know, March, maybe, kind of see where I am and then go from there.
Do you feel like you've been able to grieve appropriately at this point? I mean, like you said, you jumped right back into this thing, and, you know, you felt like maybe it would take your mind off of everything. And I can't even imagine what you've gone through. But, you know, do you feel like you've been able to process that and grieve to this point?
I mean, in spurts, man, it's weird because, like you said, you know, I've been trying to stay busy to take my mind off of it. And it's worked to a certain degree, but then there's that day where it hits you and I just break down, you know what I mean? And so I think that no, I haven't fully grieved how I need to. I think I need to sit down and really, really assess, the mental side of it, which I'm about to start working with some sports psychologists. And, I have a therapist. I'm not seeing it as regular as I should, but, that part of it, I think, is key for me. You know what I mean? I think I need to really take that into consideration and then get back into it, because like you said, I've been trying to stay busy, just to keep my mind, from just going to that super, super dark place. But, we'll get all that figured out, and I'll be back stronger than ever for sure.
Because I know we've spoken in the past before all this happened, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've talked about depression and going through different things in your life and overcoming obstacles, and you've been a part of that and had to deal with those things as well. Has those things that you've learned along the way, how much is that? I mean, it's hard to say help, but how much has that kind of assisted you in this process?
It definitely has. I mean, like this is nothing I've ever been through or would wish anybody to go through. But I think some of the things that I've been through in my life have kind of helped me hold on to this point, if you will. But like I said, this is uncharted territory for myself as well. So it's something that I definitely need to sit down and analyze deeper. And, just to make sure I'm okay, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, sometimes I think we tend to forget about ourselves because we're trying to take care of others and look out for others. And then being a fighter on top of that doesn't make it any easier, because when you're a fighter, you feel like you can make it through anything, and that's a lot of my problem. I feel like, all right, I'll be all right. You'll figure it out later. And, sometimes you need to slow down and really look at it and see where you are to make sure you're okay. So we'll see, man. I mean, I'm blessed. I got good people around me, so I think everything will work out.
It's hard to transition from that, but I know you're a giant basketball fan. So much movement going on. We just saw the Russell Westbrook trade. What do you think of all this movement?
Crazy, bro. I'm so excited. The season starts in 2 weeks. So I'm just, super excited about that. It's just going to be fun. There's so much movement. I don't think AD signed his contract yet. So I don't think he's going to leave, but I feel like he's waiting to see what Giannis does. So I'm excited about that. And just basketball in general, man, I'm excited to watch it again. And I'll be honest, last year, I didn't watch as much. I probably started watching the bubble midway through. Just because basketball just kind of lost its flair, man. It felt like, and I hate to blame LeBron but it's just like when he started the super team thing, man, I'm an old school ball player. So the Jordan era is what I'm accustomed to, man. You don't team up with the rivals, bro. That just ain't what we do. You know what I mean? So it kind of took a lot of the love of basketball away, but now I'm starting to kind of get it back, because the balance in the league seems like it's coming back a little bit. You got KD and Kyrie. You got Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal in Washington. You're going to have John Wall and hopefully Harden. So, everything's kind of evening out, even though the Lakers are going to win it again, I feel like, it'll be fun to watch, man. And I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm from the Boston area, so I'm a big Celtics fan. I feel like there's a lot to be excited about. If I were to buy stock in the NBA, I would buy a lot of the Celtics because they're so young and they're so talented, but they're just not there yet. Something's not quite there. They're missing. I don't know if it's a piece or because Tatum is the real deal, bro. Oh, yeah. That dude's legit. And I'm sold on Jaylen Brown as well as a two-way player. I think he plays on both ends of the floor and he plays hard every night. It's just him consistency. I think it's going to be his key, but I can't figure out what it is that they're missing. You know what I mean? They had so many opportunities to put the Heat away, and they just, I don't know. But I love the look of the Boston Celtics for sure. They need a big man. They've needed a big man for 5 years now.
I think that could be it. But I mean, it's so weird with the NBA. They have the small lineups and which way are they going? Are they going back to the traditional big man? Are they going to go small? I don't know. So, I saw them draft a bunch of big men, and I don't know. They may be going back to the traditional four round one and playing that way. So we'll see. But Man, it's gonna be fun to watch.
I wish we could get Kendrick Perkins back from like a decade ago. Just bring him in there, man.
Bro,
dude, perfect fit.
He was a dog, man. He was a dog. Toughness personified.
Absolutely, man. Hey, I appreciate the time, Walt. It's great catching up with you again. I thought you did a phenomenal job on the broadcast. I hope this is a regular thing for you. And who knows, maybe this will parlay to seeing you do some sideline reporting for ESPN, doing in the bubble sometime or in these arenas full of people. I'd love to see that.
That'd be unbelievable, man. I would love to do that for sure. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me.